again for joining us on the show TMI Thursday. We go straight to some of our major talking points on the show. We'll begin by looking at the ongoing seeming crisis rocking the Edo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, looking at some of the issues that have been at the front burner in recent times. Well, as they always say, the politicians, they always think of after the election ends, governance is supposed to start, projects, policies, development are supposed to take roots for the benefit of the people who voted them into power. While the ordinary man on the street is looking forward to some of these things, the politician is always thinking about the next election in terms of what I will be, where will I be, who do I align with, who do I work with, who occupies position X, Y, Z. This is always the challenge that we have in the country. That's why some time ago, I think it was former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan who proposed a one-term single tenure for the president of about 5 years or 6 years. So you know you have just 6 years to do whatever you want to do and then leave that office. But the two tenure, in most cases, the first tenure, the man is anticipating the next tenure. That's why I said a while ago that the average politician thinks about the next election, not really about how to improve the lives and the lots of the people. And because they always think about the next election, so he gets the first tenure. He works so hard to cajole the minds of the people so the people will be with him. All right? And then he starts making plans and preparations for the next election or for the next tenure. In fact, the plans and preparation for the next tenure starts with the first tenure. So the end of that election is the beginning of another election in a very tacit sense. So that seems to be part of the challenges that we have as a people. So today on the show, I have with me a young man who is also doing so well politically, very articulate, very versatile, and at home with the issues, and very firm and objective in his perspectives on issues that has to do with politics and governance. I'd like to thank very especially Fares Okbari. Fares, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we're trying to establish contact with Bob Manuel Umoro. Hopefully he can join us in the course of the discussion that we're having this morning. Well, let's start off from the basics. I started by saying that the average politician thinks about the next election, whereas the people look forward to the impact of the government in terms of how it will impact their lives, change their narratives, put food on their table, make life more meaningful. Why is this the mindset of the average politician?
Let me start by saying that you are very correct. You know, it's not just in Nigeria. I think it's something that has to do with politics in general. And if you see, I think just a few weeks ago, you hear the American president talking about the next election in 2024, even though his approval rating is very low at the moment, you know, due to several factors that might be beyond his control. You know, but it goes to tell you that it's not just a Nigerian thing. You know, politicians will always be politicians. There's this yearning for power. You know, you go into an office, you see the allure of the power that goes with that office, and you are tempted to want to keep it and maintain it and sustain it. And even most times when you start from a smaller office, you want to go to a higher office and then keep that circle going, which is good. You can't fault anybody for having an ambition. But where we get it wrong in our climb here is the fact that we sometimes just forget the main purpose which you occupy that office for. And it's supposed to be about the people. Because democracy ordinarily is about the people. And when you forget that you are elected for the people, to render a service to the people, then your own personal interests become the order of the day for you. You know, you are driven by personal ambition, you are driven by personal interest, you are driven by your lust for power. Then you lose the focus, and the focus is supposed to be delivering the dividends of democracy to the people. And that's why we have this underdevelopment that we currently have in Africa today, because we have leaders who are only interested in gaining power to empower themselves and just a few clique around them. You know, we don't have the luck of having leaders that truly believe in empowering the people, that truly have that interest of the people 100% at heart. You know, and I also think that we made a fundamental error when we pushed away the suggestion by the then President Jonathan for a single term, because, like you rightly said, there's a whole lot of distractions from elections in Nigeria, a whole lot of distractions. In 4 years, you go into office, and the moment you're elected, you start thinking about the next election. You start even saving money. You start looking for means to start saving money for the next elections. But the moment you know that you are there for 6 years, you start from day one to want to make an impact that will give you a good name, an impact that will leave a legacy of development. You know, knowing that you are not coming back, you will not occupy that office for the second time. You know, but the fact that the moment you know that, oh, I have to go back, I have to return, then there's this desire to do everything to return, because you tested power, you see that, oh, power is sweet, and you want to do everything to maintain. So we made an error. If we had adopted that, even when Jonathan said that he's not going to benefit from it, he's not going to be a beneficiary of the process. He understands that we spend too much money in politics in Nigeria. Look at the billions that we waste every time when it comes to elections. I don't even think some of those monies, they spend that kind of money in America. You know, the kind of money that we pump into elections, from buying votes, from gifting cars to politicians and words and all of that, you know, it's very unnecessary that we have to do it every 4 years. And then when we start election period, governance is pushed to the side, and everything becomes politics. Everything becomes, how do I win that election? How do I suppress my opponents? How do I subdue my opponents? How do I have an edge? And when you talk about these things, it all revolves around spending money, spending who has a bigger financial war chest. And that's the bad side of our politics in Nigeria.
Thank you very much for that foundation that you just established in our conversation today on some of the issues that are at the front burner as it relates to the 2023 election. Now, there's always constant friction in politics, and this friction most times is built around control. Do you think that the fact that we're not able to separate politics away from governance is the crux of this matter?
Yes, you are very correct. You know, unfortunately, there are so many things mitigating against separation of politics from governance in Nigeria. And one of them is the over-politicization of our governance system in Nigeria. You know, because if you look at our constitution, for example, it says that before you must be elected, you have to become a member of a political party. Whereas if you look at the American constitution, for example, it doesn't say you must be a member of a political party. So you can be elected without being a member of a political party. If you look at all the crises today, you see that there are many centered around political parties, because that's where the fight for dominance, the fight for control, the fight for who becomes who is. And then, because most political parties in Nigeria don't have this mechanism for resolving crisis, it always explodes. You can see it. I don't need to make examples, you know. We have to be very objective in this matter. And it's not all about one political party. You have it across all political parties in Nigeria. There is this no system that addresses crisis easily from the beginning. So you have it that it's just a matter of, there's no laid down crisis management in the party. It's just, okay, let this leader call a meeting and intervene and all of that. You know, and so sometimes it doesn't work. And then it spills into governance. Most times it spills into governance. And then you see the person in government is distracted, the people, particularly if you are still in the first term, where the people will tell you, oh, these guys are already scheming to remove you. Oh, they're already scheming to get you out. They're already doing everything to push you away. Oh, they're making sure that you don't get your second term. And then at that stage, panic will come.
You put on the panic mode.
Exactly. And then he starts to act with that fear of wanting to retain power by all means. And then he starts to take rash decisions. And then he starts to attack his enemies, use the
perceived enemies sometimes, yeah.
Yes, paraphernalia of governance to fight political opponents and all of that. And you see that causes a whole lot of distractions. A whole lot of distractions will come in, and a whole lot of problems will start to come in. And then somebody who started on a very bright note, politicians and politics will now come in and drag the person away from that part of providing the basics that the people need. They will not drag the person into politics, and you see it, he is no longer interested in governance, he no longer have the time to even look at the issues of governance. He is now more interested in battling the issues within the party to make sure that he is not removed from office. Those are the kind of distractions that come with political party administration in Nigeria, in mirror view to governance. And then if you have countries where people can come out and run as independents, so you are just a popular person.
You're not tied to any political party.
Everybody knows you as Sonny Duke Okosun. Everybody likes you. People have been seeing your face on this channel for maybe 20-something years. People have followed your antecedents. They know what you stand for. They see that you are somebody who stands for the people, even if your contemporaries that they may not like it, but you are always someone who speaks for the people. And then you say, okay, we want this guy, and you don't belong to a political party, and they go all out that day and they vote for you. And then you come in, you are not distracted by political parties. You are not interested in what Congress is. You are not interested in party elections. You are just there because the people requested that they want you. So there's a big difference. We've not tried it. We don't know how it works. We don't know what might happen if we get someone like, we get that scenario in Nigeria. But I think it's something that is good to try. I'm not saying that political parties are bad. Political parties are not just bad. They have the good side, they also have the bad side. But I think also that there are too many distractions there are too many meddling from the political parties into the governance, vice versa, that is really bringing the distractions.
Would you say that in most cases, the element of greed is largely responsible for this kind of scenario? Because if you look at our history, political history, you always find this scenario brewing. I mean, in Osun State, that's an entrenched crisis between the SY governor and the incumbent governor. In Edo State, a similar scenario is playing out. I mean, you go to the southeast, all across the country, this problem is always there, where there is a friction between the incumbent and the immediate past. I mean, how do you describe this scenario, and why is this such a common thing in our politics?
The reason is because of what we said when we started this conversation. It has to do with power play. People are interested in power. So even when they leave office, they still want that control of who becomes who in the political system of the state or the country, as you may have it. And that's where the issues start to come from, those problems start to come from. Particularly when you have a strong personality as a governor who will say, no, I want it this way. And the former governor will say, I want it that way. And then you start to have those crises. I think there's also a similar incident that is brewing in Delta State right now, where I've been following and see that the current governor is actually pushing for the Speaker of the House of Assembly right now to
succeed him.
And then the former governor, in fact, the former, I think it was two-time, the former, not the immediate governor, but the
former governor.
And that was Jameson and Efebori, and he is pushing for a technocrat someone who he believes should take Delta State away from politics of politicians to politics of providing service. And that's his argument. And then you have this serious bass right
friction.
Now. Yeah, within the camp of the governor and the past governor. And you see, you have this thing playing around maybe almost the 36 states in Nigeria right now.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You have a governor who lives and he wants to make sure that the next person that's coming there has to be someone that he puts there. And when he puts the person, that person says, oh, I don't want it like this, I think I want it like that, then you start to have problems. Because most governors, when they leave office, they don't realize that you have to give some level of space, some leverage to the new governor. He's a governor. He's someone who is now the executive of the state. And in our constitutions, governors have enormous powers. Yeah. So you must also realize that this person, you were once a governor, and you give that room for mutual respect.
Okay.
But most times you don't have it. Because you are the one who put the person there, you feel, I put him there, and I should control, I should determine what the person do or don't do. We saw it in Lagos where Ambode was removed, and despite the fact that Ambode was performing excellently well, if you go to Ekpe in Lagos, you see the kind of foundation he laid there. If you go to many of the places in Lagos, you saw the kind of work the man did in 4 years. Despite that, it wasn't about performance. Nobody said Ambode wasn't working. Nobody said Ambode wasn't doing well. It was about pushing him aside for the interest of a certain political godfather in the state. And come back to our own Edo State. We saw it here with our own governor, Godwin Obaseki, in his first term. You could tell it wasn't about performance. The governor was performing very well. The governor was able to, Edo was known for everything that was bad. Talk about, you go to a market and you see thugs beating up market women, trying to collect revenue from them. You go to bus stations, it was the same thing like that. Everywhere, there was just chaos. You go to communities, it was even worse. And then, when the governor came in, he tried to structure so many things, tried to deviate a little bit from the path of the former governor. But we all know the role the former governor played in the current governor of Edo State becoming a governor. So there was this friction, like you put it, there was this friction, trying to control, and then it wasn't at that time when they were trying to push the governor away. It wasn't about, nobody was talking about the governor's performance. Nobody was saying, oh, the governor wasn't doing well. It was the fact that the problem was that the governor was not sharing money to party people. That was his offense. And as you can tell, then Edo didn't buy that excuse. It wasn't a valid enough reason to push a governor aside. So that's why he was able to win that battle. But if you go to many states where the people might not be discerning like that, you find that the governor will be pushed aside. He will push aside. The people will not have the audacity to stand with the governor and say, okay, this person is performing, this person is doing what we want. We don't care if he's giving money to politicians. We don't care if he's servicing godfathers. We think we like what he's doing. Let him remain. So until the people start to know that they decide who should be who in Nigerian politics, they will continue to have these problems.
Will they have this talk about, we need to checkmate the godfather, all right? And then the person who is saying we need to checkmate the godfather, or we need to weed out the godfather from our politics, end up becoming the godfather. That's the scenario that plays out.
Yes, we had a very clear example in Edo State. I think in 2008, when former governor, His Excellency former governor Adams Oshomole came on board. I think his major campaign slogan then was ending godfatherism in Edo State, and he went after the likes of Chief Aneni and all of that, and tried to portray them as the problem of the state, as those who are milking the state and all of that. And then the people bought that message, and then he supported him, and he got his second term in office in 2012. And then that was when everything changed. And from there, he also wanted to become a godfather. And we see it play out over and over and over again. That's just exactly the same thing that's happening in Delta State right now. You know, somebody says, oh, we don't want godfatherism, then you push him there. I think in 2015, Okowa fought fervently against the imposition of a governor by the former governor, which is Doran's candidate. In fact, there was so much campaign against him that the man almost resigned by himself, you know, before the primaries. And what happens? The next governor comes in, and you see that he is now attempting to do the same thing that he kicked against. It's the kind of mindset that we have in Nigeria. The desire to always remain relevant in politics. And what people don't understand sometimes is that when you're a charismatic leader, when you do things for the people will naturally love you. Yeah. You don't need to try to impose yourself or impose some superficial relevance on yourself to become relevant. If people see that this road was bad, terribly bad, and you came in and you fixed it, you came in and they see that the schools in their communities, you came and you improved them. The sanitation within their environment, you improve it. The healthcare facilities, you improve it. The people will naturally follow you. Even if you decide to say, oh, I'm no longer doing politics, I'm no longer a politician, you will still have that natural followership. People will love you for the rest of your life. Look at some of the politicians from the old, I think the Midwestern region then. You still have people talk about the likes of
Chief Obafemi Awolowo.
The likes of Awolowo. People still follow him today. Why? It's not because he did so much to impose his to put leaders there that will be servicing him or that will be bringing money to him when he's no longer there. Because what he did, people can still point back to it. They still teach it in schools. Yeah. Look at Yaradua. People still go to Yaradua's mother to say, oh, you had you were blessed. Look at Yaradua, charismatic leader. Yeah. Charismatic leader. He was a governor then. You go to his house. He doesn't have a generator in his house. As a serving governor, they didn't go around with converse of securities and all of that. That's what you call a charismatic leader. And you can tell that the people loved him. If you go back to the 2007 election result, you could see the difference between what the followership he had in the north and that of President Muhammadu Buhari, because he was a charismatic leader. And how do you become a charismatic leader? You must put the people before any other thing. Forget politics. Come into that place, serve the people, and they will naturally. They will naturally love you. They will naturally follow you. But what we have here is that people enter office and they become distant from the people, very distant. You see someone who had no money before, the moment he's elected into an office, he starts to drive tinted cars, which means you can't even see him anymore. You go to his office, you can't no longer access him. And sometimes the people coming to the office are just people who are coming to add value to him. But because he thinks that everybody is coming to take from him, he disconnects himself. And then when it comes to election, when he's finishing his tenure, he is now looking for people that will help him to, like people he will put there that he can still be communicating with, can still be helping him
to cover his tracks.
But whereas if this guy had embraced the people, probably the people would have embraced him back. If he had served the people, if he had go out there and say, look at it, look at what we have. This is what we have. How do we share it? How do we make sure that what we have, these resources that we have, we don't filter it away, we need to do the right thing for that everybody will benefit. And then the people will understand, say, okay, look at it, and then you go ahead and you do it, and everybody's happy. And even when you live there, people will say, oh, this guy, they will protect you, they will defend you, and they will stand with you. Let me give you a clear example. Ibori might not be the perfect example, but I think it comes to mind in this conversation. If you go to Ogara, you notice when Ibori was governor, he transformed a little known village that he was from to a very modern town, built hundreds of roads, built a stadium, a mini stadium, built a massive hospital that the whole of Delta, I think it's still the best in Delta State today, that's the hospital in O'Hara. And then when he left office, he had issues with the FCC. I think that was in 2007.
Yeah.
Then the FCC tried to come and arrest him. He went to his village. The youths of the village came out and they put barricades on the road. I said, no, this guy has been so good to us. We can't see you do this to him here. What am I saying? I'm not saying
that's a good example.
Yes.
Or yeah.
Yes, I'm not saying that Ibori was a perfect person, but you could tell that when you take your people, when you uplift your people, when you perform, when you do things for the people naturally will protect you. They will defend you. They will follow you. Ibori's daughter was contesting for House of Assembly from the state, and the people found it like they say, you know, it's even wrong for anybody to come and contest against her, for anybody to come and run against her. Despite what this man has done for us, no. She should just go unopposed. What am I saying? I'm just using that as an example. But it goes a long way to show that if you do things for the people will naturally do things back for you. Yeah. So politicians in Nigeria, we should, as a matter of fact, embrace the people more than the politics. Embrace the people. The people will not decide. I've seen people leave popular political parties, go to unknown parties. People will follow them down and let the person there. Yeah. Because if you have the people, you don't need anything. Just get the people on your side. If you have 500,000 registered voters, for example, in Edo State, say, oh, this Sonny Duke is Sonny Duke that we want. Even if you go to ABC party that is unknown, that is the people will still follow you there and they still elect you. And that's the truth. That's why it's important to embrace the people. That's why it's important to provide the things that the people want. What are the people looking for? They want the basic things that you campaigned with. The things that you said that you would do for them when you were demanding their votes. Okay. You came in, you said you provide roads, provide the roads. You came in, you said you improve the schools, improve the schools. Improve the schools. Okay.
Let's quickly cap this up. It looks like the end is not in sight for the PDP crisis in Edo State. Are you concerned about this?
Yes, I am. I'm a member of the PDP, a proud member of the PDP. I've always been a member of the PDP. And then when you see issues like this, it worries any genuine member of the party. You feel concerned about it. And you know, it's unfortunate that we keep having issues like this every time in our politics. And the only good thing I'm happy about is that the leadership of the party right now, they are sitting down and they are talking about it and they are looking for ways to resolve it.
Yeah, we have a series of such talks, conversations, discussions, yes. And then it comes to the public that, oh well, sooner or later there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel, and then it escalates, something else broods up. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because you have people sometimes who benefit from such crisis, unfortunately. You know, but I'm aware that serious talks are ongoing and the issues will be eventually put to rest sometime this week. You know, I trust the leadership of the party. The governor is the leader of the party in our state, and he wants the PDP to do well. You could see yesterday the governor invited the 165 House of Assembly aspirants who bought forms in the PDP to a meeting in the government house, and then he addressed them and he spoke to them and he admonished them, and he also told them not to go and sell their houses to run for elections. Like, it wasn't really worth it, and that's true, because the reason why you have this desperation in politics sometimes is because when people go and sell everything they have and, you know,
and make investments.
Yes, and they become very desperate. So the governor called them for a meeting yesterday. The governor is not sleeping. He's reaching out. He's doing everything which a leader should do to resolve such crisis. And I strongly believe in his leadership capacity to address this problem, to settle it once and for all, to bring everybody on board, you know, even those who are opposed to the governor, to bring everybody on board and say, okay, well, I am the leader of the party, this is the direction we are going, and then that's it.
So those who will say he's always fighting wherever he goes to, are they justified by the recent the developments in the PDP, for example? Would they be justified to say that?
No, they won't be justified to say that. The governor is not always fighting everywhere he goes. Let me tell you what happened. We all know what happened with the governor and the APC. When the governor was in the APC, the problem was that we had, and we still have, some certain people within the APC who felt that the governor was paying too much attention to governance, and then he should do more in servicing party leaders. And there was a strong disagreement within the camp of the APC and the governor's camp. It was mainly, if you see them on TV and on radio and everywhere there, it was mainly about how the governor wasn't servicing party leaders. And the governor was justified to fight that kind of ideology. It doesn't take the state anywhere. It doesn't take us as people anywhere. We can't continue to squander our meager resources on politicians. I don't subscribe to that. I've never had that school of thought. I believe that whatever the state gets, the meager resources that we get should go to providing infrastructure, providing the basic amenities for our people. And if you have a political party, a political system that says, oh, it shouldn't all be like that, we should have some reserves for people who are apparently doing nothing, then the governor is justified to embark on that battle. And I'm happy that he won that fight. But right now in the PDP, it's a different ball game. Nobody is saying it's not about servicing politicians. The argument here is not about servicing politicians. The governor is not running for a second term. The governor is not running for a third term. There's no provision for that. The argument now is about many of the people who are fighting right now are those who came with the governor from the APC. And they felt that they've not been fully absorbed into the PDP. And you can understand that sometimes people are already, when the governor came in, the PDP already had they already had most of their delegates, they already had everything was already in place.
The structure was already in place.
So it's not easy to just break into that kind of system.
Okay.
And you can understand. So the argument that the governor is always fighting is not correct, because the governor is not even fighting the PDP right now. What you have is people who feel that they should be properly absorbed, and you have that argument. And then the governor is standing and says, okay, this argument is correct. It doesn't translate to the governor fighting the party or fighting anybody. The governor, by the PDP constitution, is the leader of the party in the state. So it will be unwise to say that the governor is fighting a system that he is the leader. I don't know if you get my point. So, but I know right now that they are resolving the crisis. The issue is being addressed, and then before the primaries, we'll see a different PDP. Okay. What the PDP is preparing for is the elections in 2023, because we're not happy with the situation in Nigeria right now.
Okay. In that regards, I mean, the list of presidential candidates has been growing, both on the ruling party and then the major opposition party, the PDP, as well as other political parties. There have been talks along the line that if the South is serious about having a go at the presidency, why so many presidential aspirants? If we agree or we are certain that, okay, power should come to the South, why don't we have a microzoning of the presidential slot to any of the zones in the South to make it a lot easier? Why do we have so many presidential aspirants springing up in the South? Just yesterday, I heard of a meeting amongst the APC Southwest group, trying to see how they probably can rally around few individuals and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I don't subscribe to that argument of having so many aspirants. People have their undeniable rights to aspire to any office they want to in this country.
Okay.
And if we want power in the South, what we need to do is to come out en masse and support the best candidates that we believe will represent our interests as Southerners in Nigeria. So it's not a matter of having, I don't think that, I'm a member of the PDP, but I don't think that it is a good idea to present a northern candidate. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. But you know that in politics, minority will have their say, majority will have their way. And the reason why I think so, because some people from the South are saying, no, the only way to win the election is to have a northern candidate, which I completely oppose. I completely oppose that argument, because those people who are pushing the argument, they've never sat down and looked at the numbers. Go back from 1999, take the demographics of our elections, look at them, compare them, and you see that that argument does not hold water. The reason is because we've always voted north-south most times. Maybe apart from 1999, where Olufayale won the whole of the Southwest and won maybe part of the Northwest, and Obasanjo won the South-South, Southeast, North-Central, and the Northeast. But after then, we've had these kind of elections where one major opponent will take mostly part of the North, and one major opponent will take mostly part of the South. And if you look at it, it was more, apart from 2007, when Yar'Adua defeated Buhari in mostly the northern part, the northwestern part, where Buhari won in Borno, and I think Borno and Adamawa or something like that. You know, it's after then it became this north versus south thing, which is not very helpful to our politics, because when you make it north versus south every time, the argument becomes petty. Instead of people to start talking about what they will do, they don't start talking about the turn of the north, the turn of the south, the north hard power for this, the south hard power. So I think, my opinion, that this time around, the two major parties should present a southern candidate. The two major parties present a southern candidate. So that the argument is not whether he's an Hausa man or he's an Efik man. The argument now goes to the major issues.
Of governance and impact.
Nobody will be talking about whether he's from north or from south. The two candidates are from the south. We had it in 1999. Yeah. The two candidates were from the southwest. So nobody was talking about if he's a northern candidate or a southern candidate, or if he's a Muslim or a Christian. That argument automatically will subside. Yeah. Then it goes to the issues. And those issues have been missing in our politics for a very long time. Because every time you have a Buhari or a Jonathan, oh, it is either the North, or it's not a Muslim, or it's not a Christian, you have that argument which doesn't bring anything positive. Now, if we have two candidates from the South, it becomes on them to now face the major issues. Because you can't tell me that I'm a Northerner, I can't tell you that you're a Southerner. Yeah. We're not campaigning on that basis. We're not campaigning on security, healthcare, and the economy. Yeah. It goes to that argument. And then who have the superior capacity and the resources to bring the country together, provide these things that the people are yearning for, and then win the elections. Because in the next election, if we go like this, the next election, in the next 8 years, then the two major parties can present northern candidates. And automatically you see that we would have systematically erased this argument of north versus south. Christian versus Muslim. Christian versus Muslim. Because if it goes to the north, it goes to the north. If it goes to the south, it comes to the south. It goes to the north, it goes to the south. So that's why I'm completely opposed to the PDP presenting a northern candidate. That's my opinion. And I'll say it here, I'll say it anyway. That's my opinion. And if you look at it secondly, you also see this argument of those saying that it's only the north, a northern candidate that can win. If we push that argument, it means that if we present a northern candidate and the northern candidate wins, the APC in 2020, in the next 8 years, will also present a northern candidate. And we have this circle of everybody thinking that it's only the north that can win. And that is not true. Yeah. Look at 1999 down. In 2011, Jonathan won in the whole of the North Central. Buhari won the Northeast and the Northwest, excluding Adamawa, where Jonathan won Adamawa. Now, What Jonathan did do in 2015 that made him lose that election was he did poorly in the Southwest. He won Southwest overwhelmingly in 2011. And then in 2015, he won only Ondo. He lost Lagos. He won only Ondo. Whereas in the Southeast, for example, in 2011, Jonathan got, I think, 1 million plus votes from Abia State. And in 2015, from 1 million plus votes went to around maybe 600,000 or 700,000. And then the same thing in Rivers, where you got 2 million votes in 2011 to about 800 or something, 900,000 in 2015. And he lost the election by 2.3 million votes. Votes that he should have gotten from the Southwest, the North Central. In Kogi, that he won in 2011, he lost in 2015. So the North needs the South to win. The South needs the North to win. So nobody should promote that argument of that it's only the Northerners that have the numbers to win. That's not correct. If you win in the North, if you win in the Southwest, you win in the South-South, you win the Southeast, and you take the part of the North Central, you are home and dry. So I don't subscribe to that argument. The North needs the South needs the North. Nobody has the clear roads to the presidency by being a Northerner or a Southerner. So we should erase that argument.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Faraz Okmeri, for coming. It's always a delight to have you here, and then just bring on the issues on with some depth of knowledge and statistics to back that all up. I hope we can have you here again some other time.
Yeah,
thank you so much. It's still TMI Thursday. We'll take a short break. Remember, today is International Nursing Day. Dennis Ofik and Praise will be here to talk to a professional in the house. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in a moment.